Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to that video I usually do after every PTB where I talk about the new killer, the new perks, the new whatever, and my impressions about it. Coming out a day later because I like to actually sit and think about what happened in the actual like PTB and determine if what happened was good or bad and not give, rash emotional reactions to things. Because that's something that kind of frustrates a lot of people in the DVD community, is that content creators make very, very like quick impulse reactions to things, and it kind of changes the way people feel about things, kind of hive mind things. So I like to wait a little bit. Anyways, that's a side tangent. That is a complete side tangent. So how do I feel about the Tools of Torment, which is a very interesting name for this chapter. Skull Merchant, I'll start off with the killer. You've probably heard it from other people at this point, but Skull Merchant is a incredibly weak killer, and you usually hear that a lot when it comes to like new killers, and then they find out new things later. Like, Sadako went from being like what people thought was one of the weakest characters in the game to being kind of like someone who's like high C, like C plus tier, like kind of like, especially when people, figured out how to kind of like cheese Condemned and that sort of thing to try and do the Condemned playstyle. So obviously a lot of people throw out that first jab that a lot of characters are weak. People said that about Dredge too. People found things to do with Dredge. You're gonna hear the same thing, is that Skull Merchant is very, very weak. And I am inclined to believe that unlike Sadako, unlike Dredge, and other characters that people have said are weak, I feel like Skull Merchant will remain a weak character. I played with her all night. I played with her for like a 5-hour play session, and here's the problem. She is what I would argue that Skull Merchant is arguably bottom 3 in the game. She's right down there with Pig, Trapper, Myers, whoever you put in your bottom 3. She is right down there with those characters. And I say that because Skull Merchant, her entire base kit is focused around info, putting her drones down so she gets info on where people are. The drones do other things, like expose the survivors, but that's only if they stay in the drone for a really long time, which they never do. They never sit there in the drone for a long time. They either dismantle the drone or run away. So that's realistically not happening, so it might as well not even be in her kit to begin with. So she just has a lot of like tracking. She has a lot of info and a lot of tracking. But the problem is she has no way to apply her info or apply her tracking. She just doesn't. She doesn't have any form of anti-chase. She doesn't have any form of map mobility. She just has a lot of info. And besides saving you a slot for like surveillance or a slot for barbecue, this doesn't really do a whole lot for you. Really at all. So she gets a lot of info, but really no way to apply that information, which makes her literally just a woman with a claw, right? She's literally just a woman with a claw. She's just a normal 115 M1 killer, and she just happens to have a lot of. She's just more informed. She's literally just a woman with weapon, but she's a little bit more informed than the usual M1 killer. Even Myers has an insta down. Trapper has snowball with his traps. Pig has stealth, head traps, and her dash. I mean, if her dash isn't that great. Skull Merchant doesn't really have anything. She literally just woman with claw. And there's also her claw's kind of like not buggy, but it's like the inverted situation with Freddy. Freddy's claw looks like it never hits because his glove does not fully occupy the space at which the killer hitbox is. So it looks like he gets a lot of bad hits on you because the hitbox is a little bit past his little blade claws. So he gets a lot of weird hits because like the hitbox is out here, but his hand doesn't fully fill the weapon space like most killers do. She has kind of the opposite effect, where her claw kind of goes a little bit outside the hitbox. So you'll be like swinging and missing a lot and not really knowing why until you get used to it when you first pick her up, because until you realize that's what's happening, you're going to be like whiffing a lot and going like, what? But her claw, like the tips of her claw stick slightly outside the killer hitbox for her swing. So it's a little deceptive. It's a little deceptive, but I got used to that pretty quickly because her hand sticks out pretty far along with the claw. And if you just kind of look at where her hand is, like beneath the claw, her little arm claw, then you just swing when you see the hand where the weapon would be. I did find a way to make her work. A very, very niche way to make her work. She's really, really good at defending totems. I first found this out while doing an endgame build with, Terminus, Noed, No Way Out, Stabiffle. What happened was I had killed some people by the endgame, and then I downed somebody with Noed, went and put a drone over my Noed, so, if somebody was going to go cleanse it, I could know. And then I put 2 drones by the exit gates, so if somebody was trying to get out, I would know. So they didn't get out because I just had info on all the important aspects of my end game build, that being my Noed and then the 2 exit gates. So that inspired me to go in and, you know, can I defend other totems? Can I make full shaman builds and defend them? And the answer is yes. I played 3 or 4 games with totem builds, and I was able to defend my hexes pretty sufficiently. I only had 1 totem actually cleansed in that entire time, because as long as you just go in and put your drones over your hexes, you basically know when somebody is going to cleanse your totem early. You just know when somebody's going to go cleanse your totem early. You just know. And also, if you slap on Thrill the Hunt, that takes even longer, so you have enough time to like go to wherever your totems are and interrupt them and force them to get off of it. And that was like the one way I found that she would actually like work well, and she actually had a really cool niche that was different from other characters. Otherwise, you're going to need some sort of chase perk, preferably like Stabiffle, to like help her, since she has nothing to help her and chase naturally. You're also going to need to bring probably a lot of slowdown. You're probably going to bring Deadlock, Corrupt, because you can't bring like other stuff. You can't bring like Pop and Jolt, because her time to down's really long, because she has nothing to help her with chases. So you can't rely on the perks that make you want to down, because her time to down is really long. You're going to be using stuff like Deadlock and Corrupt instead. And you can't even do Overbrine Eruption, because Eruption gets nerfed in the is going to be nerfed with this patch. So you can't even do that. You can do Cobb Overcharge still, so there's that, but I wouldn't rely on perks that require you to down people at all. Speaking of that, the Eruption change, I'll cover that real quick. Some people have said it's too much. It's like the Spider-Man meme with Iron Man. If you needed this, if you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve to have it. If the Eruption change is fine, it turns it into a companion perk for kick builds and does not win matches for you anymore. Would I have preferred that instead of the info, it was gen blocking, like it does what it does now, and it just reconverts the gen blocking instead of the aura reading? Yeah, of course I would. But like, if you were using Eruption every build, you were kind of a boosted animal. That's just how I feel about it. I know I'm probably gonna get flacked for that, but like, if you're that attached to Eruption and you needed Eruption to win your matches, you probably don't deserve to win most of your matches. That's just how I feel about it. I think if you're wanting to fix Skull Merchant and you want to make her actually like an average killer, you need to give her some way to apply the information that she's earning, give her some sort of anti-chase, give her some sort of movement option. That way, when she gets the information that she gets, she can do something about it. Because right now she doesn't have any ability to do anything about it. Obviously, that's a pretty big change to an already complicated power, so I don't see that coming through. But she will probably remain at least bottom 5 in the game. So. Also, I wanted to talk about this. I can't believe I didn't talk about this. Her design is terrible. Her design looks like Kano from Mortal Kombat, except a crappy cosplay that she bought on eBay. Yeah, her outfit looks ridiculous. Like her mask is bedazzled. Remember that old Jenna Marbles video where she covered her face in rhinestones? That's literally what's on her mask. She looks like a little edgelord, but also bedazzling as well. Like, what is her aesthetic here? What was the goal? What was the idea set behind this character? Like, she looks like she's wearing a crappy cosplay. She looks like she went to Party City and got her outfit. Like, she does not look good, like, at all. Like, literally at all. Also, her lore is really weird and really strange, because she was into manga, and then like she wanted to make manga like her dad, and then like her dad hates her, so she decided to become a successful CEO, and then she saw the other CEOs as competition, so she started killing them, and that's why she's a hunter. Like, this is like easily the worst lore we've had since The Artist. Like, this is like what is going on? What is that? It literally sounds like somebody who was 13 wrote that. It literally sounds like it was written by an edgy 13-year-old. Like, it is a bizarre lore, very bizarre. There is a running theory, not only on DBD Twitter, but we were kind of realizing it as we were playing. Does it feel like to anybody that this feels like the Predator chapter fell through? Do you feel that way? Because she has her main weapon is the Yajuta's claws from the movie, just as like a robo arm instead of like, it's still a robo arm in Predator. It's just like, it's more of a wrist gauntlet. So she has a version of that. She has tracking, just like how the Predator has like geothermal and heat vision tracking. And she also has a way to like insta down the survivors, even though it's not really good, which is theoretically what you would do with like the shoulder cannon or the spear. Like, it seems like it's like this is all tinfoil hat. There's nothing to really substantiate this besides like a sketchy 4chan post. It's like it feels like this was supposed to be the Predator. Like even the music that she has while she's chasing somebody sounds kind of jungly. Like it has that jungle aesthetic to it. And it just like there's just so many things. I'm like, did they lose did they lose the rights to the Predator? Were they in talks to get the Predator into the game? And like that fell through, so they just kind of converted it to an original chapter. It really feels that way. It either feels like that's what happened, or they realized that they weren't ever going to get the Predator chapter, so might as well make like a la Hillbilly to Bubba and make their own version of it. If they're never going to get the chance to get the main license in, make their knockoff like Trapper to Jason, Hillbilly to Bubba, that sort of thing. So yeah. She does come with some perks. Game of Foot is interesting. This one gives you haste while you're chasing the obsession if you kick a pallet or a breakable wall. It's really cool. It's niche, but it's really cool. I did get value out of this while I was playing her. It's not that dynamic. It doesn't change the chase that much, but like I've said in I don't remember which video, but I said in a previous video that I feel like it's weird that all the obsession perks focus around avoiding the obsession, and there's not enough perks in the game that focus on focusing the obsession, because if you're supposed to be obsessed with your survivor, why are you avoiding them? So there's a perk that kind of encourages that. And also it switches the obsession to whoever's been in the chase the longest, so it rewards chasing. So it's cool. It's not going to win your games for you, but it is a neat perk. Thwack, this is the one people say everybody says is their favorite. Thwack is after hooking a survivor, the next time you break a breakable wall or a pallet, survivors within 32 meters scream and reveal their aura. So it's kind of like nowhere to hide except for kicking. Anything else besides gen. So it'd be funny, once again, another niche perk. It'd be funny to run this and No Way Out, and then like Legion with like Frank's mixtape and just go around like kicking everything, and every kick you do lets you know where everybody is. It's fun for a fun niche build. It's not going to win you your matches, but for niche build, it's going to be super fun. Leverage, this perk is, I don't know why this perk is in the game. Leverage is each time you hook a survivor, you gain 1 token up to 10. When you hook a survivor, this perk activates, and for each token, this reduces the speed at which survivors heal by 5%, which sounds really strong because that can stack up to 50% heal regression, which sounds crazy strong and absurd, but it's only for 30 seconds. It's only for 30 seconds, which ergo flips it to the other side where the perk's now kind of useless. So it's a problematic perk like Dead Hard, where if it's really strong, it's ruining games and making things awful. But you know, in its current state, where it's where it's straddled down by that timer, it's so weak it's not worth running. So that's kind of the function of this perk is the problem, right? The function of the perk is the problem. So if you buff it, it's going to be obnoxious, but if you leave it weak, it's just not going to get used. So it's just like, why did they even introduce this? I don't know. Now, one of the things I actually did like a lot about this PTB was the 2 new survivors are cool. I do like their design. I think they're neat. Obviously with, both of them comes a set of 3 perks. They have a lot of like teamwork based perks, which is kind of slightly spooky because, any chance that, coordinated groups will use to abuse something, they just will. But, Thalita, who's the female survivor, her first perk is after a rush vault, this perk activates. While active, your rush vaults are silent for up to 6 seconds, and successfully performing a rush vault resets the timer. And this has a cooldown of 45 seconds. This one's cool. I had this one used on me today. This one creates some interesting combinations because obviously with Iron Will being nerfed into the position it is, you kind of don't have a lot of options as survivor to make your looping like ambiguous. And this does do that because after a rush vault, your next one is quiet. So in the middle of a match, I had this happen. Somebody vaulted an L wall. We were in an L wall jungle gym, like a normal jungle gym. Somebody vaults it first with quick and quiet, silent. And I go around to cut them off, and they vault back. And because of, loose, I didn't hear them vault back over. So it actually allowed them to leave the tower and leave safely. So it allows a little bit of, kind of gives you a little bit of that kind of like old Iron Will kind of like gameplay, but there's a lot of setup to it, so it's not like unfair either. So it's a neat little perk for if you enjoy chase. Friendly competition. This is the one that I'm kind of not a fan of. Obviously, friendly competition is whenever you finish repairing a generator with someone else, you guys get a 5% repair bonus speed progression for 75 seconds. So once again, we're introducing more gen progression perks. I feel like this is more on the lines of overzealous, where it's not going to be like too meta or anything like that. But you still, but like, for example, you still see like overzealous used in Gen Rush builds anyway. So it's like, clearly it's still effective to some extent. It's not going to be, I don't feel like it's going to be as prevalent as like hyper focus and the hyper focus stakeout combo. But like, why are we adding Gen Rush perks to the game still? Like, why is this a thing that, I just think it's a bad design. You guys have heard me say that over and over. Gen Rush or Gen Slowdown perks are just annoying and bad for the game. So yeah, stop adding them. Thank you. And this is the other one, Teamwork Power of 2. So after you finish healing another survivor, you both move 5% faster as you stay within 12 meters of the survivor you healed, or until one of you loses a health state. So this one is pretty crazy. This one's pretty crazy. I had this used on me, and it was a pretty absurd effect. I was on Garden of Joy, and I had survivors use this, and the survivor was using Hope, this, Power of 2, and Blood Pact. And at Bloodlust 3, the survivor was outrunning me. At Bloodlust 3, that survivor is outrunning me because of all the stacked effects of haste that were happening because of Teamwork Power of 2. So essentially somebody was hiding nearby. I found out it was the Rebecca. Was hiding nearby me while I was trying to chase down this Thalita. And she was just moving faster than me literally moving faster than me at tier 3 Bloodlust. At a loop. I wasn't mind gaming, I wasn't doing anything. I was just rhinoing and just following her. And she was outrunning me at Bloodlust 3. Because she was so fast. And the other person was just hiding in a bush nearby. This is one that, like, that's cool. How often is that actually going to happen? I don't know. But obviously, it's very clearly easily to be able to be abused by groups. So I'm not truly sure how I feel about it. Obviously, it takes, like earlier in the match, this isn't going to be helpful. But like I found out in the end game, where there's no other objective to be on, somebody can just kind of hide in a bush and give somebody, like, make you literally faster than the killer for funsies, which is certainly something. Certainly something. Renato is the male survivor that comes with this. This one's fun. I find this one funny. There's a new exhaustion perk. It's called Background Player. And it's you break into a sprint of 150 speed for 6 seconds after you unhook somebody. So this is... A lot of people are afraid of this perk on the killer end of things. And I don't know why, because this encourages tunneling. Because if you leave the other person and you just zoom off, who am I left to chase besides the guy you left behind? So I feel like this is actually going to encourage a lot of tunneling, and there's going to be a lot of dumb solo queue teammates that run this thinking they're super smart, and realistically they're just going to leave their teammates for tunnel fodder. So yeah, Blood Rush is probably the most interesting perk to come out of this, and it's definitely the most complicated. So while you're on Death Hook and you're healthy and suffering from exhaustion and running, so that's a lot of prerequisites. You can use the activate ability button to lose a health state and recover from exhaustion instantly, but you're broken for 20 seconds. And after that timer is up, you go back to being healthy. So essentially what this perk is if you're in the dying state and you have your exhaustion up like immediately for like dead hard or something like that, because you don't want to, don't want to be dead. If you don't want to get hooked and you want to have your exhaustion perk, you can essentially press an activate ability button and get your exhaustion right away. So you have it in a pinch for that death hook situation. The problem being that you are now injured. Now, obviously, if the killer finds you in those 20 seconds, you're down. I think this is like a trade, right? This perk either sounds really, really strong and oppressive, or it sounds really, really weak and you fed into the killer. And it feels like there has to be some sort of skill or awareness on the player's side to use this correctly, or else it actually detriments you. So I'm interested to see how this one's used, because I want to see if people like actually do find it helpful and a great, like, last ditch effort to keep yourself alive on Death Hook, or if it's just people are just going to use it and end up dying a lot. So yeah, we'll see. All right, so this last one is another teamwork perk. So when another survivor finishes healing you, so like the flip end of the other one, you both leave no scratch marks for as long as you stay within 12 meters of each other. So you get kind of like bottled shadow step. Obviously not as helpful as like the haste, which is power of 2, but the collective stealth, it is bottled shadow step. So that is relatively helpful. All right, so my favorite part of the update, because obviously the killer is kind of a sleeper and the perks are only okay on Survivor. The Survivors are cool though. My favorite part of this is the map updates, actually. So Shelter Woods actually got converted into this killer's map. So I've made a video on the channel before talking about how I felt like Shelter Woods was a very, very weak map, and it's just frustrating on both sides because survivors don't have a lot to loop with. which is frustrating for them. There's so many, just like sometimes when you're playing a map, you run into a dead zone and you feel like crap and you go down even though it's not your fault. Shelter Woods is like the king of that map. There's just dead zones literally everywhere by design. And it's really frustrating. Now on the flip side, it was one of the bigger maps in the game. So like if you didn't have a mobility option as killer, it was super frustrating to traverse. Shelter Woods has been made into the Skull Merchants map. Now they moved the tree over, which is funny. They moved the tree over. So they scooted the tree to the side in the center and put a camp there, like the hunter's camp for the Skull Merchants. So there's like pallets there now. There's like an RPD desk esque pallet that's kind of like formatted the same. And one of the tents, there's some really, really good vaults there too. There's an upstairs where like the actual place where the Skull Merchant stays, and her little bedrooms up there that has a vault down. It's kind of like Hawkins-esque. Like you can sort of see in the background of the video. In the menu is like there's vaults off of that metal railing, which is very like I said, very Hawkins-esque, of those old railing vaults. So yeah, I'm glad they finally get. And Shelter Woods in general has, just from my experience, it looks like there's more path pallets to get you in between these areas. So Shelter Woods is not just like a big old dead zone generator like it used to be, which I really do appreciate a lot. So the maps just they did what I said. Like you got to put a main building in the map to fix it and kind of spruce up some of the dead zones, and they did that. So good job listening. Good job. Oh my god, the new Red Forest, new temple, and new Mother's Dwelling is beautiful maps. Absolutely beautiful maps. Like literally, like the maps are graphically improved and they have a great sense of style. It actually looks like you're in a wet, rainy forest and you're trying to survive. Like it's really cool. New shack, very, very beautiful. Like all the new tiles, they redid all the tile styles too, and the new tiles look great. Like lovely map. Literally both Temple Purgation and Mother's Dwelling look beautiful. Very, very good job. Very, very fantastic. I am excited to play on those new maps. But yeah, there's other stuff like they updated Hattie's model, and there's bots can now have perks. Just a lot of little stuff like that. But those are the big things that I had as takeaways from the PTB. That's mostly gonna be kind of a meh chapter for the most part. Skull Merchants, nothing to sneeze at, nothing really worth buying. I'll buy her anyway because I make content for you guys, but like I wouldn't recommend buying this chapter. There's nothing you're really missing out on here. It's kind of sad that this happened right after the night, because the night chapter was already kind of a meh chapter as well. And now on top of that, we have the Skull Merchant coming straight after, which is also a meh chapter. So I don't know. I hopefully they're pulling out like something fancy for us for our next chapter. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the PTB. What did you guys think about it? Do you think the Skull Merchant is bottom 3 in the game, or do you think there's some potential that people are not tapping into? Let me know down in the comments below. But on that, that's be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching. But I will see you tomorrow. If I don't, see you when I see you. Goodbye.